Hello, everybody, and welcome to Swampy Comics. I'm Swampy, and we're going to be doing the weekly tier list where we're going to be taking the comics that I picked up this week and throwing them up here in the Guy Gardner tier list. And this is the week of September 10th, 2025, and it's definitely a week of some ups and some downs. So let's get right into it. We're going to start off with a strong one. First up, Absolute Batman number 12. This is by writer Scott Snyder and art by Nick Dragotta, with colors by Frank Martin and letters by Clayton Cowles. And oh man, this picks up with kind of more the end of issue 10. Last issue was kind of a fever dream of a imagined letter that Alfred was writing to Bruce about all the horrible outcomes that could have been, possible with him getting caught by Bane. And anyway, this picks up with Bruce and Waylon escaping from Arkham in the sewers. Waylon wants Bruce to end him. It's pretty grim and sad to see his friends in this capacity, and Bruce ends up going home after being missing for so long, and finds out that his friends have been all affected by Bane, two in a very horrible physical way, and a third in still horrible and physical, but you know Edward's not hospitalized. So, um, man, this whole book just gives me bad vibes in the best way. I really like the vibes we're throwing down here. It's still just so strong from issue to issue, and this whole Bane storyline has just really elevated this book to a whole nother level of intensity and grimness, and I'm here for it. This issue was great. We're gonna put it firmly in the A tier because, yeah, I've been giving a lot of S's out, and I need to be a little more restrained with them. So, yeah, we're gonna put this week's Absolute Batman in the A tier. I thought it was a great issue, but I mean, there's not a lot to say about it. There's just so much build up. Oh, and the reveal at the end of us officially getting Catwoman, and then all the backstory with him and Selena. I mean, there's so much packed into this issue. It's hard to even get to all of it. I just feel like if you're not reading this series, you're missing out. It's so good. Wow, just such a good issue. Moving on, we're gonna go to Action Comics 1090. This is by writer Mark Waid and art by Skylar Patridge. Um, covers by, oh my gosh, let's just start the credits over. Written by Mark Waid. Art is done by Skylar Patridge. Colors done by Ivan Placencia, and as well as Matt Herms. And letters by Steve Wands. This continues the Superboy story that's been going on. This is like issue 4 or 5 of that. But it's been really good and continues to be so. Mark Waid is really just killing it with Action Comics. It's nice. I mean, I'm love eating all of this up, but it's nice for the Superman reader for this to not feel quite as essential to everything that's going on, but still really enriches everything that's going on. I mean, we have a lot of the same themes of rage playing out through this comic as well as mainline Superman. I mean, I've mentioned that many times before when I, review Action Comics. But man, yeah, this issue just continues up with Clark having problems in school, trying to, you know, tell Lana like how much he likes her, and it's really awkward and kind of fun to see. And we kind of get some development towards the end of it, along with some action with Clark getting in quite the fracas with this character you see on the cover here. We met him in the first issue of this Superboy arc. I think his name is Rays. And we find out that he's not actually superpowered, and that it's his helmet that gives him superpowers. And it seems to be maybe a setup by the government to test for Clark. And yeah, they ambush him and arrest him at the end of this. So yeah, I'm really excited to see where the Superboy story continues to go. Mark Waid's killing it. Like, I have no complaints about this book. So yeah, I mean, it's gonna go in A tier. God, I'm just loving, and still Summer of Superman. So I guess we're going till the end of September, and yeah, I'm here for it. It's good stuff. Speaking of good stuff and good guys, we're going with Aquaman here. Let's see. Oops. Yeah, I'm gonna have to get the little photo of Aquaman out, but we'll do that in a moment. Aquaman #9. This is by writer Jeremy Adams, with art by John Timms and colors by Rex Locus, with letters by Dave Sharp. This is kind of bringing Arthur back into the fold in this issue with the Justice League, coming out of the blue, this strange world in between that he ended up in after he swam into an Omega symbol at the end of issue 1 of this run. And yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, not too much happened. I mean, this is kind of setting more just how Arthur is going to be acting, I think, and how his character is going to be until spoiler alert with the end of the issue, he figures out that Atlantis and his family aren't actually gone, even though he has this future version of his baby daughter who's like a teenager now hanging out with him, as well as other adventurers that he brought from the blue. But yeah, I mean, this is good stuff. I'm really liking this Aquaman series. It's great fantasy superhero stuff, and as we go into DCKO, I cannot wait to see what role Arthur plays in that. Hopefully, a big one. Hopefully, he's one of the crossover books. I'm trying not to spoil too much, but I really do need to look up and see how expansive we're going to get with that event. Anyway, yeah, I can't recommend this book enough. I mean, this was, especially now that we know that Mara's not actually dead and that something weird has happened with Atlantis, and yeah, I mean, gosh, it's really cool. It's really cool that Arthur got a little bit of a character change and some growth, and we didn't have to totally sacrifice everybody he knew before um, issue 1 of this series. So yeah, Aquaman. I need to bring in the art here. Let's see. Da 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 da. Big and bold. Without there being too much action, I am going to be a little more stingy with the A ratings, but this is going to go in B tier. I mean, I'd recommend it. I liked it. But yeah, there we go. Aquaman. And next up, that other good guy I was talking about earlier, we got Captain America #3. This is by writer Chip Zdarsky with art by Valerio Schiti, colors by Frank Martin, letters by Joe Carmagna. And yeah, we continue with Steve infiltrating Latveria, coming face to face with Doctor Doom in Latveria as the Howland Commandos with the new Captain America, David Colton, are trying to save some hostages. We find the terrible truth behind the matter as the hostages are dead. This is a setup by Doom. He's 5 steps ahead of everybody, and Steve is really doubting his role in all this, just kind of being the stooge of an America he doesn't quite know anymore after waking up out of the ice. And, that's kind of reflected through the behavior of David Colton. And as a reader, we see his flashbacks and what a rough time he had in Iraq. And you come to understand this poor guy quite a bit more. But yeah, this was a great issue. Zdarsky's killing it with Captain America. Good amount of action, lots of story development, and a big tease for a classic costume coming back on the last page of this one. I can't. Yeah, this was absolutely great. I have no complaints. This is, gosh, I'm gonna put it in S. I mean, yeah, this this was the best issue of this run so far. This is where I felt like we're shifting gears. We're going now with Zdarsky's Captain America. I really liked it. Um, Speaking of stuff I really liked, we're not going to be doing that with this next one. This is Fire and Ice When Hell Freezes Over #6, the last issue in just say it, underwhelming mini series that I tried to give the benefit of the doubt for, but it ended in such a just wet fart of nothing and a hurried resolution that made no sense, and it was just like, why didn't they do that from the start? This is one of the worst things I've read all year. It's by writer Joanne Starr, art by Steve Byrne, letters by Ariana Marr. um, I mean, it's more the writing than anything. I don't mind the art. It's a different style. It's pretty cool. Stephen Byrne's art is fine with me. But yeah, I just hated this story. It it wrapped up so, it was just so stupid. It was so fucking dumb. Like, oh man, yeah, I find getting back into comic books this year, this is my first major disappointment. I didn't like Weapon X-Men, but at least that book was fun, even though it was loose and barely made any sense. But the last issue hit. The last issue was the best issue, maybe, of all those. But this one, the last issue is the worst. This sucked. This is my first F tier. I hated it. Um, it's just sucked. I was disappointed as hell. Like, I really liked the premise and I liked the first couple issues quite a bit. But yeah, it just got worse and worse as we went along, and here we are. But hey, it's over. I don't got to deal with it anymore. So, um, farewell, Fire and Ice. I really like those characters too, and hopefully we see them done more proper in some future team book, or maybe in a couple years they get another shot with somebody else. But anyway, let's move on. I like being positive. I don't like ragging on stuff too hard, but for the first time I had an issue that, like, I not only just didn't like, but actually it made me mad. Like, it really irritated me. Like, so disappointing. Anyway, moving on. We got Green Lantern Corps #8. Yeah, I almost said 9, but I was like, wait. But #8. This is by writers Jeremy Adams and Morgan Hampton, with pencils by Fernando Passarin, who's one of my favorite Green Lantern artists ever. With inks by Eau Claire Aubert, colors by Arif Prianto, and letters by Dave Sharp. I mean, this art team is fantastic. And Yeah, I liked this issue. Maybe the Starbreaker supremacy isn't proving to be one of the greatest Green Lantern events. Like, I was kind of hoping it'd be a little more epic. I mean, it's not over yet, so we'll see. We'll see. Because the cliffhanger on this made me really stoked for the future of Green Lantern. I mean, bringing Krona back into the fold is totally something I'm game for. But yeah, I mean, this was really cool fight scenes. I loved, I love seeing that Joe and Guy Gardner really have a cool friendship. Like, yeah, I like modern Guy Gardner. He's really the best. I mean, I made the tier list after him, but anyway, we get to see all our favorite Green Lanterns riding the different entities of the emotional spectrum, and not necessarily being consumed with the actual aspects of those emotions. They're still Green Lanterns in the way that they are focusing their willpower, but it's cool to see them in different colors. Guy Gardner riding the compassion being. I think Joe Mullane was writing Ophidian, the greed entity, that's usually associated with Larfleeze. And yeah, this was cool. Cool fight stuff. It was nice to see our bad guys on the back foot, and I really like the sacrifice that Nathan made. Since his emotion was gone, and he was just like, "Oh, this is lame, actually," and let me just think out logically how things should be. Oh yeah, yeah, Carol and Hal should be together. I should not get in between that. I know how to end this. I'm just gonna walk into the land. Like, yeah, I just love yeah, it was good stuff. I really like this issue. Wasn't perfect. You know, wasn't perfect, but it wasn't bad by any means. We're gonna put this right next to Aquaman in the B tier. Yeah, quality stuff. Especially if you're a Green Lantern fan like me, you're gonna love this. But I'm not gonna glaze stuff I love too much. That's a little unfair. I'm trying to be objective here, but I'm gonna reread this a bunch of times. I love this stuff. Anyway, let's move on to something a little more gritty. Punisher Red Band #1. This is by writer Benjamin Percy with art by Julius Ota, colors by Yen Nitro, and letters by Corey Pettit. And this was a pretty cool issue. It's fun to see a really bloody Punisher comic. Although one of my disappointments with this issue, although I'm going to continue with this series, but one of my disappointments was I didn't see Frank really do any punishing. We saw the aftermath of it, and then we see our villains, Tombstone and Kingpin, um, you know, engage in some brutality. But the most brutal thing Frank does in this comic is stiff arm an old lady into letting him take a bath. you know, so yeah, like when the second issue comes out, I'll probably read this, and it'll be the last time I read this one, and I'll probably just start at issue 2 from then on if we get to the punishing next issue. But this was a little too set up and not enough big boom for me. I mean, it was good, but I'm trying not to rag on it too hard. But it was just pretty average. It was just pretty average. It wasn't bad. It wasn't good. Like, it was just average. But but the writing was good. I'm just bummed that I didn't get to see Frank do much. So I'm gonna be nice and put this one in B tier. I was feeling a little C tierish with it, but the writing was good from the characters that we did get. Like, so. Hopefully this is setting up some big brutality, and next issue gets with it with the punishing. But we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, B tier for Punisher Red Band #1. Moving on, we got Supergirl #5. This is by writer Sophie Campbell, and she's passing on art duties to a couple of artists that split this issue. Paulina Ganicho and Rosie Camp, with colors by Marissa Louise and Kendall Good, respectively, and letters by Becca Carey. This issue focuses way more, I mean, completely until the very end, on the super pets. We get Crypto and what's the bunny's name? Candy hanging out. There we go. For the first half of the issue, and they kind of slowly become friends through thought bubbles, even though they're not communicating, and they're just kind of hanging out doing hero stuff. And Candy the bunny is a little mean at first, and anyway, it was cute and fun. um then in the second half of the book, we get a fun story about Streaky and Tiny Tano, the little Kryptonian ape that's shrunk down. They're going and rescuing some super kitties that end up eating some weird goo and growing little capes and causing all sorts of mischief around Midvale. And I don't know. I'm here for this stuff. I mean, this is I knew this Supergirl series was going to be a little cutesy at points, and this one nailed the cutesy without it being saccharine, and it was a lot of fun. Yeah, I really did enjoy it. Was it groundbreaking? Was it anything that made me go, "Wow, that's whoa"? No, not at all. So yeah, Supergirl just continues to be a good series. But this issue is gonna go in B tier. Um, yeah, because it didn't really have too much to do with her until Supergirl passes out at the end, and yeah, I can't wait to see where we go. I hope she's okay. Anyway, let's move on to somebody else in the Super family. We got the Black Label book, Superman, the Kryptonite Spectrum. This is by the Ice Cream Man team. We got W. Maxwell Prince writing it with art by Martine Morazzo, colors by Chris O'Halloran, and we got letters by Good Old Neon. This continues after picking right up after issue one, where at the end Clark was exposed to the cobalt kryptonite, which made him grow giant. And he keeps on growing and growing until he smashes through the Fortress of Solitude and basically becomes Kaiju Clark. And it's really funny to see, like, so when you're a teen and you first try like pot and stuff like that, you might not that I would know, but you might get in a stoned state and then have to be around parents or authority figures or people you don't want to know you're in that state, and so you try to act more normal than you should, if that makes sense. And I feel like this series continues its drug allegory with Clark doing just that. He gets all huge and he's just like, well, oh, great. Like, the satellites are going to pick me up, like, being all big, and the governments are going to freak out. So I better just go to Metropolis, march in the middle of the city, and let everybody know that everything is fine. And I'm just Kaiju Clark now. Like, I'm big Superman. It's really silly and great. I really like this mini. This is a fun mini series. I think we're getting a really classic take on Superman, that really leans into the weird science angle of him rather than kind of like the human angle of him, like something like Superman for All Seasons or something. And just kind of the funny aspect of Superman and how silly the concept can be, but not making fun of it or tearing it down or anything like that. And we got Lex doing villain stuff with Clark all huge in the city and shooting a red kryptonite missile at him that gets him all pissed off. So then they unleash another monster that for Clark to fight as he's doing things like flicking Wonder Woman across the city, or fighting with Atom Smasher, who can get all giant as well, but is nowhere near a strength match for a giant Superman. And yeah, anyway, this issue wraps up with the Justice League containing Clark after Batman's able to build a gun to shrink him back down to size with a different kryptonite. But the speckled kryptonite that he used not only shrinks Clark down, but turns him into Superboy. And so I think next issue we're going to get the issue with Clark and Shazam, aka Captain Marvel, hanging out. Yeah, Billy Batson really stoked to hang out with a superhero his age. So anyway, yeah, Clark, the Kryptonite Spectrum, Superman, the Kryptonite Spectrum. This is good stuff. I really liked this issue. Made me laugh a couple of times. I'm gonna read this series multiple times. S tier. This is good. This is great. It's great. All right. Next up, lastly, we have Wolverines and Deadpool's number 3, bringing this mini series to a close. This one's by writer Cody Ziegler, with artists by Roger Antonio, colors by Guru EFX, and letters by Travis Lanham. This picks up with Ellie being possessed by the Shadow King and having to fight her friends and father, and Deadpool having to make a really cool sacrifice that I don't want to spoil because I was almost like, how is this not red band? Why did this not have a warning? Because that's one of the most extreme things I've seen in a comic in a minute. Like, and it was a callback to something that happened in issue 1, but still, um, yeah, I really this is grade A superhero storytelling. I wish this was a 6 issue miniseries. I think they could have done more, and people would have been more than happy to purchase it. Hopefully, we get a Wolverines and Deadpools again or something like that. But yeah, I really love the interaction between these 4 characters. We have our 2 classic heroes in Wolverine and Deadpool with their adopted daughters of sorts, Ellie and Laura, and just it's cool to see 2 of the most violent characters in Marvel have just a little more heart and without sacrificing any of the violent savagery that Wolverine and Deadpool embody. Wade's a little bit less of a sociopath, and Wolverine's a little more polite, but they're still their characters, and I really like at the end of this we even get Ellie given her first fourth wall break. So buy this issue while you can. That's like key stuff right there. But Wolverines and Deadpool's, it was a great wrap up to a fun little mini series. I'm really glad that I engaged with this one. Um, if you find it easy to pick up these 3 issues and you haven't, and you're just even a fans of these a little bit, this is totally cool. And a good like preteens or even maybe like you got a 10-year-old that you trust to know the blur the lines between fantasy and reality. He knows the difference. He or she knows the difference. This would be a good like beginner's violent comic if you're that kind of cool parent. I really liked Wolverines and Deadpool's. I got to tip my hat off to it. One of my favorite miniseries of the year. Going S tier with that. But as far as our pick of the week, clearly not going to be Fire and Ice, right? But one of those S tiers, huh? I gotta go ahead and go with a Marvel book this week. I'm gonna go with Captain America. This issue ruled. I've always been looking for a better entry point to Doctor Doom, and because as far as going deep goes, I never did with Marvel. I just kind of bought stuff here and there when I was a kid, and yeah, this is good. This is kick-ass comic book storytelling, and it's really cool to see. We're getting a lot of really good runs from flagship comic book characters right now on both sides. You know, uh, we got like the things going on at Marvel, like Imperial, and that is involving Hulks and stuff. And I know that's more of a amalgamation of a bunch of characters and not necessarily a single character. But yeah, you got this Captain America book. You got Wolverine, the Daredevil, Cold Day in Hell. This is a really just some really good stuff is coming out this year, as well as the Batman reset that's off to a banging start. Yeah, it's a good time to be a fan. It's a great time to be a fan. Um, that's all I got to say. Well, thanks for watching, everybody. If you could like and subscribe, that'd be great. And or subscribe, But anyway, what's important is come watch the next video, and in the meantime, keep reading. Thanks for watching.